You can get ahead of 99% of the people by following 15 steps that no one else is taking. I learned these over a 35-year career that took me from Salt Lake City to Tokyo and even Doha, Qatar. Step 1 to getting ahead of 99% of the people is to take 100% responsibility for life, even when things aren't your fault. Most people think responsibility means owning up to things when you go wrong, but I'm talking about something deeper. Taking responsibility doesn't just mean accepting blame, it means claiming full ownership of the choices, your mindset, and your future. You aren't just reacting to life, you're creating it, which is why you need to own up to everything, even if you think it's not your fault, because then and only then you can take power over it. Think of it this way, if your life were a movie, you're not just the actor, you're the director. You're the one who writes the script, chooses the cast, and decides how the story unfolds. Too many people hand the pen over to someone else, whether it's their boss, their spouse, or even their circumstances. But the moment you stop waiting for life to happen to you and instead take full control, you're already ahead of 99% of the people who are still stuck wondering why nothing goes their way. Step 2 is to stop trying to find your purpose. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think finding your purpose is some grand, life-changing discovery. It's not. Purpose is fluid, not fixed. You don't wait for your purpose to show up one day. You create it. Purpose is something you build by aligning your daily actions with what matters most to you today. Your purpose can evolve as you grow, but what stays consistent is that alignment. Think of your actions as the compass that points toward what you care about most. So start asking yourself what you care about right now and take action toward that. The more you align your actions with that purpose, the more clarity you get and the easier it will be to stay motivated. Most people wait for their purpose to find them, but the real secret is that you have to create it. Step 3 is to fail faster. Here's the twist. Failure isn't just something to learn from, it's a signal. Most people treat failure like a roadblock, but in reality it's a checkpoint. Every failure tells you something about what's working and what isn't. Successful people don't just learn from failure, they seek it out. They understand that failure is feedback, and the quicker you fail, the quicker you learn what doesn't work. Think of each failure as a recalibration point on your GPS. It's not telling you to stop, it's guiding you to adjust your route. So when you fail, and you will, treat it as though it's a valuable signal that's pushing you closer to your goal. Most people quit when they fail, but those who get ahead use failure as a tool for rapid progress. Step 4 is to influence others with vulnerability. Here's something that might surprise you. Vulnerability doesn't just help you connect with others, it's your greatest advantage. We're taught to hide our weaknesses, but when you openly acknowledge them, you become stronger. Why? Because vulnerability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of influence. People want to follow leaders who are real, not perfect. When you show your vulnerability, you give others permission to be real too, and that's where authentic connections happen. It's not about putting up walls to protect yourself, it's about tearing them down to let others in. In a world where everyone is trying to seem perfect, being vulnerable will make you stand out and catch the attention of other people. Step 5 is to master your emotional triggers. Most people think emotional intelligence is about understanding others' emotions, but let me flip that on its head. Emotional intelligence starts with understanding your own emotions and reactions first. It's not about reading the room, it's about reading yourself. If you can master your emotional triggers, you'll find that your interactions with others become much smoother and you can win people over easier. You'll stop reacting out of frustration, fear, or anger, and start responding in a way that gets people to say yes to you. Most people focus outward when they talk about emotional intelligence, but real emotional mastery begins internally. Once you master that, your ability to work with others will skyrocket. Step 6 is to seek feedback on the fly. Don't just seek feedback from people who are above you. The most valuable feedback often comes from those around and below you. Think about it. Your boss or mentor sees you from one perspective, but the people you work with every day see the full picture. Your peers and team members know your blind spots better than anyone else. They can tell you what you're missing in real time, and that kind of feedback is gold. Instead of waiting for formal reviews, ask for feedback on the fly. And here's the real kicker. The harder the feedback is to hear, the more valuable it is. Seek out the tough truths, because that's where the real growth happens. Step 7 is to stop trying to bounce back. When most people fail, they're told to bounce back, but it's really about bouncing forward. It's not just about surviving tough times, it's about using them to grow stronger and push ahead. Every setback you face is an opportunity to sharpen your skills and harden your resolve. This develops grit and resilience, and when you develop these traits, you stop seeing challenges and obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. The real advantage of this is that it makes you unstoppable. It's 1% of the people have that the other 99% don't. Every time you get knocked down, you don't just get back up, you come back stronger. Step 8 is to learn how to unlearn. Here's what most people miss. Learning isn't about gaining new knowledge, it's about unlearning the wrong things. We're all carrying around ideas, habits, and beliefs that no longer serve us. Continuous learning isn't about adding new information, it's about clearing out the old, outdated beliefs that are holding you back. If you're still operating with the mindset or strategy that worked 5 or 10 years ago, you're falling way behind. Be willing to question everything you know. The real power of continuous learning is in your ability to unlearn and evolve. Most people focus on adding new skills, but the ones who get ahead are the ones who can let go of what no longer works. Step 9 is to listen between the lines. Most people think communication is about talking, but the real secret is in listening. And I don't mean just hearing the words, I mean listening between the lines. The most powerful communicators listen for what's not being said. They pick up on body language, tone, and subtle cues that reveal the true message. When you master active listening, you can understand people at a deeper level, and that's where real influence happens. People feel heard and understood, and when they feel that, they trust you. Trust leads to influence, and influence leads to opportunities. Most people just wait for their turn to speak. Be the person who actually listens. Step 10 is to develop a growth mindset. Here's a perspective shift. Growth mindset isn't just about believing you can improve, it's about actively seeking out discomfort. People with true growth mindset aren't afraid of challenges, they crave them. They understand that growth happens outside of their comfort zone, so they deliberately put themselves in uncomfortable situations. This means they face fear head on, they seek out tough feedback, and they tackle problems that others avoid. If you want to develop a real growth mindset, stop running from discomfort and start seeking it out. The more you get comfortable with the uncomfortable, the faster you'll grow. Step 11 is to realize action creates clarity, not the other way around. Here's the paradox. You'll never feel 100% ready, and that's exactly why you need to start now. Most people wait for the perfect time, but perfection is an illusion. Successful people understand that the act of doing is what prepares you. It's not about being ready, it's about becoming ready through action. The more you do, the more you learn, and the more confident you become. You don't need to have all the answers to take the first step. Just start. Most people wait for readiness to show up, but successful people know that action is what brings it on. Step 12 is to build and nurture a diverse network. Everyone knows the value of a network, but don't just network with people who are like you. The real power of a network lies in diversity, people from different industries, backgrounds, and cultures. When you only surround yourself with the people who think like you limit your perspective. But when you engage with people who think differently, you see an entire world of new and unexpected opportunities. It's the diversity of your network that gives you a competitive edge. The people who get ahead are the ones who build networks filled with different perspectives than their own. Step 13 is to be culturally sensitive. Cultural sensitivity isn't about just respecting differences, it's about leveraging them. Different perspectives and approaches aren't just things to tolerate, they're advantages. When you work with people from different backgrounds, you open yourself up to new ways of thinking and solving problems. That's why cultural sensitivity is a superpower. It's not just about being polite, it's about recognizing that diversity is a strength that can benefit you in very real ways. Step 14 is to think like a servant leader. Most people think leadership is about directing others, but the best leaders are the ones who serve. Servant leadership isn't about being in charge, it's about helping others rise. The more you focus on uplifting people around you, the more influence you gain from them. People are drawn to people who genuinely care about their success. When you help others succeed, they become your strongest allies. Leadership isn't about control, it's about contribution. The more you serve, the more you lead. And finally, step 15 is to apply these principles consistently. The 99% of the people you want to get ahead of all have tried to change their lives in some way too. They all likely started before you, but the difference? They all stopped at the first sign of hardship, and that's where most people fall short. Consistency. Anyone can start strong, but the ones who get ahead are the ones who stick with it day in and day out. Success isn't about big dramatic moves, it's about small, consistent actions over time. The key to standing out isn't knowing the secret life hack, it's simply doing the small things consistently. Most people quit after the first failure, the first setback, or when progress seems slow. But those who stay consistent, who keep showing up day after day, are the ones who achieve long-term success. The real secret to getting ahead is persistence. That's why getting ahead of 99% of the people isn't about having a secret formula or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about taking action, learning as you go, and applying these principles consistently. The biggest difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the willingness to show up, do the work, and keep moving forward no matter what.